One was that my wife wanted to know the details of our life insurance policy. The other was that everybody wanted to know what lies on the other side when the heart stops beating. Questions about God and heaven and meaning and death ceased to be academic. And it struck me, in that year, how deeply both faith and doubt are part of my life. We often think of them as opposites. Many books argue for one or the other. But while in some respects they are enemies, in other ways they are surprisingly alike. Both are concerned with ultimate issues. Both pop up unasked for at unexpected moments. Both are necessary. I must have truth, therefore I doubt. If I did not doubt, I'd be just another one of those suckers P.T. Barnum was so grateful get born once a minute. I'd fall for every carnival sideshow delusion that comes along, and I scorn delusion. I must have hope. Therefore I believe. If I did not believe, I would cave into despair, and I dread despair. In addition to believing and doubting, there is choosing. I must decide which road I will follow. I must place my bet. If you were to ask me why I believe in God, I suppose I would tell you a story about a baby. She was not the beginning of my faith in God, but she was a new chapter of it. I did not know that when a baby came into my world, she would bring God with her. When we found out baby number 1 was on the way, Nancy and I went through a Lamaze class together. To spare moms to be anxiety, the instructors did not use the word pain. They spoke of discomfort, as in, when the baby is born, you may experience some discomfort. On our second anniversary, Nancy began what would be 12 hours of labor. All our kids arrived on notable occasions, none more so than Johnny. He popped into the world on February 2nd, prompting the doctor to tell us that if he saw his shadow, he would go back inside and Nancy would have 6 more weeks of pregnancy. Laura's body was unusually positioned inside Nancy. The phrase the nurses used was sunny side up, so that the hardest part of her head was pressing against Nancy's spine. Each contraction was excruciating. The worst moment came 11 hours and several doses of Pitocin to heighten the contractions. The doctor, with a single hand, wrenched the baby 180 degrees around inside my wife's body. Nancy let out a scream I will never forget. I knew I had to say something. "Honey, are you experiencing some discomfort?" They had to use a vacuum cleaner with a special attachment to get the baby out. The Lamaze people warned us this procedure might make the cranium look pointed, but it would only be temporary. Suddenly the pain was over, and we held this little cone head in our arms and were totally unprepared for the world we had entered. Nancy, who had never been particularly attracted to anyone else's children, held the baby and looked around the room like a mother tigress. I would kill for this baby. It pointed out that I thought most mothers would say they would die for their children. Die? Why would I want to die? If I died for her, then I couldn't be with her. I'd kill for her. And she looked around the room, clearly hoping someone would give her the chance to show she wasn't bluffing. I took the baby from her and was overwhelmed by the wonder and mystery of the presence of a human person. Not just the mechanics of her body, though they were amazing. Not just my sudden love for this being, though it was a flood tide. What overwhelmed me was being in the presence of a new soul. I can't believe that there is a live, flesh and blood, immortal being in this room who didn't used to exist. She will grow up and we'll watch her. She'll become a woman, and then one day she'll grow old. This red hair will turn to gray and then to white. This same skin that is so pink and smooth right now will be mottled and wrinkled, and she'll be an old lady sitting in a rocking chair, and it will be this same person, I said to Nancy. Yes, she said, and I'd kill for the old lady too. We propped that tiny body with towels and blankets in the car seat of my old VW Super Beetle to take her home. I drove like I was transporting nitroglycerin. I crawled along the freeway in the slow lane, hazard lights flashing, doing 25 miles an hour, ticking off motorists from Northridge to Pasadena. How do you travel carefully enough to protect a new soul? When I held Laura, I found myself incapable of believing that she was an accident. I found myself incapable of believing that the universe was a random chaotic machine that did not care whether I loved her or hated her. I don't mean that I had a group of arguments for her having a soul, and I believe those arguments. I don't mean this conviction is always present in my mind with equal force. It's not. I mean the conviction welled up inside me, and I could not get away from it. I could not look at Laura and believe otherwise. I could not hold her without saying thank you to someone for her. I could not think of her future without praying.